I shelled out 22 grand for my sister's wedding. Then came the kicker. They told my wife she wasn't invited. I decided to stay home. But my car? Well, it ended up crashing the celebration in a way nobody saw coming. The message was short and sharp. Please come without your wife. No greeting. No explanation. No effort to soften the blow. Just 5 cold words, dumped into the family group chat like they meant absolutely nothing. Like my wife didn't matter. Like I didn't either. I read that message over 3 times, hoping I'd gotten it wrong. Maybe autocorrect had twisted it into something cruel. But no, it was clear as day. Please come without your wife. No punctuation. No context. Just that. I set my phone down on the kitchen counter, trying to stay calm. My hands weren't shaking. I didn't feel angry. I just stood there, still as a stone. Before continuing the story, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss new and interesting stories, and to like and share this video with your friends. Lauren walked in from the living room, holding a mug of tea in both hands. You look like someone just died, she said. I didn't respond. Just handed her my phone. She read the message in total silence. Her lips pressed together. No tears. No scene. Just a heavy quiet. Well, she finally said. They actually said it out loud. I gave a small nod. What are you going to do? She asked. I opened the family group chat, scrolled past Nora and Mason's wedding hype posts, and tapped leave chat. I'm doing exactly what they told me, I said, my voice calm and steady. I'm not bringing you. Her eyes searched mine. You're going without me? She asked. No, I said. We're not going at all. She let out a breath and looked away for a second. I knew this would happen eventually, she said. I just didn't think they'd actually put it in writing. Me neither, I said. For months, I'd just been the human checkbook. No voice, no opinion. Nora would cry on FaceTime about how everything was so expensive. And every time, all eyes turned to me. You've always been the responsible one, Mom would remind me. She's your sister, Dad would chime in. She's never asked for anything before. Lies, all of it. I paid for the venue, the flowers, the photo booth, the charcuterie wall, even the cake. Especially the cake. 7 layers of sugar and ego. Custom imported frosting. The kind of cake that costs more than some folks' monthly rent. They took every dollar with big smiles, then told me my wife couldn't come. Why? Because she doesn't laugh at Nora's half-baked jokes? Because she refuses to play the picture-perfect daughter-in-law? Because one time, at a dinner party, she asked Mason, do you even like Nora, or are you just scared of her? Yeah, that probably sealed it. But Lauren didn't say a word about any of it. She just stood there, still holding the phone, her jaw tight, eyes dry. She looked at me, really looked. I knew you'd choose me, she said. But it still stings. I nodded. Then we'll just stay home, I said with a little smile. But I'm still giving them something for the big day. Her eyebrow lifted. Didn't you already give them 22 grand? I did, I said. But I made a small adjustment to one item on the list. The wedding happened, all right. And it was a picture-perfect dream on the surface anyway. Glamorous, camera-ready, straight out of a bridal magazine. Platinum details, a live-string quartet, guests dressed in cream and blush like they were headed for a Vogue feature. Isla grinned in every picture. Mason wore that classic groom look, half joy, half regret. My parents beamed like they were watching a royal coronation. Everything looked flawless, until the cake came rolling out. That's when the phone started blowing up. 1 call, then 3, then 20, then 75 missed calls in less than 2 hours. Mom, Nora, Mason, even Aunt Linda, who once called me cheap for showing up to Christmas with store-bought wine. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I sat on the couch, poured myself a drink, gently tapped it against Lauren's glass, and said, Happy wedding day, Nora. $22,000? I muttered, flipping through my banking app again. Lauren glanced up from her laptop. Still checking, she asked. I turned the screen her way, just making sure I really did fund this whole fantasy. The final invoice from last 2 weddings and events still sat in my inbox, $22,480. That didn't even include the extra $350 for the emergency pie substitution or the stylist switch for the veil shoot. Apparently the first one didn't give off premium energy. I had covered every single cost. And the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not because of the money itself, but because of how easily they took it. And truth be told, it didn't start with this wedding. This thing went way back. Ever since I landed a steady job out of college, my parents labeled me the responsible one. In our family, that title came with a long list of unpaid jobs. Banker, therapist, mover, accountant, babysitter, you name it. And Nora? She was the sensitive one, which really meant manipulative, always the victim, and an expert in crocodile tears. You're the stable one, Mom used to say, like it was a badge of honor. Nora's just wired differently, Dad would add. She's more emotional, you know? Emotional? Like the time she wrecked her car while texting, then blamed the sun glare, and I paid the deductible? Or when she got fired for creative differences, and I helped her through a rough patch, which meant covering 4 months of her rent? Or when she decided to launch a business, which meant I built her Etsy store and bought her overpriced, hand-glued wine glasses for inventory? Every time she stumbled, I was the net beneath her. And every time I caught her, the fall just got bigger. Lauren saw it all from the very beginning. They don't respect you, she told me one night, after Nora sent over another Venmo request labeled, just a little emergency. She's family, I said, trying to brush it off. It's no big deal. Lauren gave me this look, like I'd grown a second head. It's not a big deal this time, she said. But it's never a big deal, until one day you wake up broke and alone. And the worst part? She wasn't wrong. But she never rubbed it in. She waited. God, she was patient. She smiled through every family dinner where Mom picked apart her outfit in that sweet but cutting tone only moms seemed to master. She endured Nora's fake niceties, the backhanded compliments like, "You're so lucky he doesn't care about status," or, "It's cute how low-key you are." She squeezed my hand under the table while Dad gave yet another speech about how we all need to rally around Nora during this transition in her life. Lauren never raised her voice, never took the bait, never gave them what they wanted. And what they wanted was for her to snap, to lash out, to break, to give them some public reason to turn their quiet disgust into loud rejection. But she didn't give them that. So they got clever. Once the wedding planning started, somehow I got left out of most conversations. Nora would send these little messages like, "Oops, we figured you were busy with work, so we just went ahead and made a few quick decisions." Those quick decisions usually came with a hefty invoice. We decided on the champagne fountain. We locked in the fire dancers for the after-party. We're doing a 7-tier cake with gold leaf and imported orchids. And guess who signed every single check? Yep, me. But there was a moment. The moment I broke. Not loudly. Not with shouting or slamming doors. Just quietly. Like something inside me went dead silent. It was about 3 weeks before the wedding. Lauren and I showed up at my parents' place for dinner. We brought a bottle of wine and a gift for Nora, this beautiful hand-embroidered silk robe from a boutique she adored. A peace offering, maybe. Or just one more olive branch. Nora opened it, gave us that frozen pageant smile, and said, "Oh, thanks. I already have 2 of these, but okay." Then she leaned in and muttered, just loud enough for Lauren to hear, "At least you're good for something, I guess." I felt Lauren tense beside me, her fingers curled slightly around the stem of her wine glass. But she didn't say a word. I did. I stood up, slow and steady. The whole room went quiet. "Excuse me," I said, laying my napkin gently on the table. "Where are you going?" Mom asked. "Out," I said. "For some air." I walked out the front door, got in the car, and just sat there for an hour, engine off, hands in my lap, silence all around. That night, sleep didn't come. I sat alone in my office, lights off, scrolling through receipts, invoices, screenshots. And then I opened the cake file. Nora had sent it to me herself, with the subject line, "Final design, confirmed by Friday, and no changes please." Her note read, "I want this cake to be timeless. Soft ivory, gold trim, sugar roses, subtle elegance. Think Meghan Markle meets floral couture." I stared at it for a long time. Then I picked up the phone and called the bakery. The owner recognized me right away. I paid in full months ago. "Hi," I said, calm and cool. "I need to make a small adjustment." I didn't tell Lauren. Not right away. Not until the night before the wedding, when she caught me grinning into my bourbon like a kid with a secret. "What did you do?" she asked, eyes narrowing. I raised an eyebrow. "Who says I did anything?" She sipped her drink, studying me. "You only smile like that when you're hiding fire." I chuckled and kissed her on the forehead. "Let's just say," I whispered, "tomorrow's dessert will be unforgettable." The ballroom glowed like something out of a dream. Golden light shimmered across chandeliers. Nora's dress sparkled like it was spun from stardust. Mason wore that same blank, vaguely nauseated smile. Champagne flowed. A string quartet played something classical. Phones were up, filming, photographing, capturing perfection. And then the MC took the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, voice booming. "The moment you've all been waiting for. Nora and Mason's wedding cake." Cheers erupted. Phones lifted higher. Guests leaned forward like it was the climax of a movie. Nora's eyes lit up, hands clutched to her chest like a kid on Christmas morning. The lights dimmed. A dreamy acoustic cover of Can't Help Falling in Love began to play. Then came the fog. Real fog, dry ice hissing from hidden vents. And out from behind 2 golden doors came the cake. Massive. 3 tiers. Gold trim. Ivory sugar roses. Nora and Mason's initials, L.A., stamped front and center in edible pearls. Gasps filled the room. A few dramatic wows. Even Mason looked vaguely impressed. Nora looked radiant. The cake rolled to center stage. Spotlights locked onto it. The MC grinned wide. "Let's hear it for this masterpiece." Nora took Mason's hand, stepped forward, lifted her custom knife. And just as she reached out for the first cut, crack, the middle tier split open. Boom. The top half tumbled sideways. Pop. And from inside the cake, a figure sprang up. A clown. Not just any clown. A full-blown wedding clown. White gloves. Veil. Smeared lipstick in a wide, creepy grin. Red nose. And on her chest, lit up in glowing pink letters. Miss Perfect. The entire room froze. Silence. Then came the chickens. 2 plastic yellow chickens launched out of the cake on springs, flapping and bouncing like rubber nightmares in midair. That clown stood up tall like she owned the damn stage, arms stretched wide, head high like she was starring in some off-Broadway musical. Then she gave this deep, dramatic bow and flung a bunch of white feathers into the air, like she was tossing confetti at her own parade. The bouquet she held? It was made out of cake, of all things, and had this pink ribbon around it that said, "Zipless Special." I didn't even know what that meant, but the whole room was frozen, watching. Nora's jaw hung open like a busted cabinet door. Meanwhile, the clown reached somewhere deep inside that cake wreckage and pulled out a microphone, because of course she had one, and started speaking in the kind of voice you'd hear on a kid's show, all sugar and sunshine. "Special delivery for the bride," she said, grinning like she was in on the best joke in the world. "The show must go on." The room burst. Some folks cracked up laughing, a few guests screamed, and others clapped, thinking maybe this was all some big elaborate surprise. Someone shouted, "Wait, is this part of it?" But Nora just stood there, frozen. Mason actually took a step back like the clown had rabies or something. My mom, bless her pearl-clutching heart, came charging forward. "Get out of here," she shouted. "This is a wedding, not a circus." The clown gave her a big OL wave, all chipper. "Oh honey, this is the circus. You're just late to the tent." Then she turned to Nora, bowed again real slow, and said in this stage whisper that half the room could hear, "You ordered perfection. We brought the reflection." That was it. Nora snapped. Screamed, "Get her out of here. This isn't funny. Who did this?" But the clown was already making her exit, moonwalking through the fog like some deranged wedding version of Michael Jackson. Right as she reached the back of the ballroom, she turned around, caught someone's phone camera, winked, and with this huge grin said, "Bye Nora. You're the star now." And then she vanished into the smoke like some fairy godmother with a vendetta. Didn't take long before the internet did its thing. By midnight, a hashtag was born. #clowncake. I didn't even need to check the news. Lauren showed me everything, live streams from guests, reactions, replays. When that clown popped out of the cake, Lauren actually choked on her wine. When the chickens launched into the air, she fell off the couch laughing. And when those feathers hit the ceiling like a snowstorm from hell, she wiped away a tear, looked at me, and whispered, "You're an absolute artist." I raised my glass toward the TV and toasted the screen. "Happy wedding day, Nora." The next day was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet where you know a storm's coming, you just don't know how loud it's gonna get. I woke up with the morning light cutting across my face and the smell of coffee drifting in from the kitchen. For a second, it felt like just another peaceful Sunday. Then I checked my phone. 143 missed calls. Group chats had been renamed. Stuff like "This isn't funny," "You went too far," and the classic "You're dead to us." Voicemails from my mom, from Nora, from relatives I forgot even existed. And then the texts started pouring in. "How could you do this to your own sister? That cruel little prank ruined everything. You embarrassed the whole family. Mom's crying. Nora's not eating. Hope you're happy now. Clown boy." I just scrolled through it all, sipping my coffee, letting the madness wash over me. Lauren wandered into the room, robe loose, still sleepy-eyed. She stretched and asked, "Anything fun this morning?" I handed her my phone. She read 3 messages, raised an eyebrow, and said, "Wow, you really broke them." Later that afternoon, there was a knock at the door. Not a light tap. No, this was full on FBI raid energy. I opened it to find my mother standing there in giant sunglasses like she was dodging TMZ. And behind her, my dad, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. "We need to talk," she snapped, pushing past me like it was still her house. Dad shuffled in behind her, already sighing like he knew he was gonna regret it. Lauren stayed put in the kitchen. Smart woman, she knew better than to get in the middle of this one. Mom stopped in the living room, turned on her heels, and hissed, "You ruined your sister's wedding." I met her stare and said, "She ruined my marriage first." "Oh, don't be so dramatic," she said, scoffing like she hadn't just stormed into my house. It was one message. One message that said, "Don't bring your wife." Silence. "You humiliated her in front of 200 people, Mom snapped. "There was a clown." "Yeah," I said. "There sure was." "She hasn't left her room in 24 hours, Dad added like that was supposed to move me. "She might be traumatized," Mom threw in. "There are videos everywhere." "Oh, I've seen them," I said, deadpan. "People really seem to love the chicken launch." Mom's face went rigid. "You think this is funny?" "No," I said. "I think it's poetic." That's when she lost it. "You're a bitter, resentful little boy who can't stand seeing his sister happy." I stood up, calm as ever. "And you're a mother who taught her daughter that love means control and money means silence." Dad tried to step in. "That's enough." "No," I said. "We're just getting started." They tried to shut me up, but I wasn't done. All my life, I paid up and stayed quiet. That's what you raised me to do. Be the good son. Be useful. While I watched Nora bulldoze every part of my life. "And you?" "You just smiled and called it family." I looked straight at her. Cold. Steady. Now it's my turn to smile. She looked like she was about to scream, but instead, she just spun on her heel and snapped, "You're no longer part of this family." Stormed right out. Dad lingered. Looked at me and said, "I didn't know about the message." "But you didn't stop it either," I said. He didn't argue. Just nodded once and followed her out. The door clicked shut. Silence. By Monday, the wedding clown video had 2.3 million views on TikTok. By Tuesday, there were remixes. By Wednesday, BuzzFeed ran a headline, "Bride gets clowned at own wedding literally." Nora nuked all her accounts. Mason checked out of the honeymoon suite early. Rumor was he went to stay with his cousin. Some folks said he left the city altogether. I didn't care. For the first time in months, maybe years, I was sleeping like a baby. Then Friday hit. I was out running errands when Lauren called, her voice low and serious. "Babe," she said, "you need to come home. Now." I rushed back. She was standing in the kitchen, holding a manila envelope with no return address. It had been hand-delivered. I opened it. Inside was one sheet of paper, bold black text. "You thought you were the only one she used." Clipped to the page was a USB drive. I plugged it into my laptop. Inside the drive, there was just one folder. Clicked it open, and there it all was: screenshots, bank records, text threads, voice memos. All between Nora and our cousin Casey. Turned out my little clown cake stunt wasn't the only performance she'd been starring in. She'd been planning 2 weddings this whole time. One out in the open mine. And the secret one, Casey's. He'd been bankrolling her second life for about 6 months. Their last messages were from the night before her big day. "Nora, don't worry, baby. This is just for show. I need that ring for the prenup. Once I've got it, it's over. Casey, you swear?" "Nora, you think I could ever actually love someone like Mason?" I leaned back in my chair, just staring at the screen. Lauren was beside me, scanning through the messages, quiet. Then she looked up and asked, "Do we send this to Mason?" I didn't answer right away. Just smiled. "No," I said. "We deliver it." With a bow. I didn't sleep that night. Not 'cause I was nervous. Not 'cause I felt bad. But because I'd never felt so alive. I sat at my desk, that USB still in the port, folder wide open. The screenshots, the bank transfers, those voice notes, every lie, every plan, every manipulation staring back at me. And that one line, "You thought you were the only one she used," just kept echoing in my head. Of course it was Nora. If anyone could cheat the truth itself, it was her. She didn't just empty my wallet, she drained Casey's too. Another fool with a savior complex and a bank account big enough to bankroll her second wedding. She told him the public ceremony with Mason was just optics. Told him it was all temporary. Promised it would be over once she got the ring and locked in the prenup. She married Mason, sure. But she loved the money. And she ended up torching it all with Casey in the process. The sun started to come up. I got up, made coffee, toasted a bagel. Lauren shuffled down in an oversized t-shirt, kissed me on the cheek. "You look terrifyingly calm," she said. "I feel incredible. You're glowing like a villain mid-monologue." I handed her the folder I'd printed. She read a few pages, then whispered, "Oh my God. We're not mailing it," I said. She nodded. "We're delivering it." Mason wasn't at his apartment, hadn't been back since the wedding. But my cousin Dylan said he'd seen him at the gym. So we drove over, pulled into the lot, and there he was, pounding a heavy bag like it owed him answers. I called his name once. He turned, face red, sweat pouring, eyes wild. And then he froze. Walked over like he was headed to a firing squad. "If you're here to gloat," he said, "get in line." I didn't say a word. Just handed him the red folder. He frowned, opened it. At first, he flipped through fast. Just scanning. Then something hit. His eyes slowed down. Focused. Widened. He turned another page. And another. Then he landed on the photo, Nora in Casey's apartment, half-dressed, glass of wine in her hand. His hands started shaking. "She told me," he muttered, "that she needed a stable future." "No," I said. "She needed a funding plan." He sat down on a bench, folder in his lap, one hand covering his face. "She said I was the first man she ever really trusted." I sat beside him. "She says that to whoever's holding the pen to the checks." He didn't cry. I could see he wanted to, but he didn't. Instead, he whispered, "She's a black hole. She eats good things and spits out lies." I nodded. "She almost got all of us." He looked at me and, to my surprise, said, "Thank you." We shook hands. I left. That night, Lauren and I made pasta. Opened a bottle of wine we'd been saving since last summer. We laughed. We let the whole world burn without us. By morning, Bridezilla Clown Cake had passed 4 million views. Clips turned into memes. Someone even auto-tuned the clown's line, "You ordered perfection." We brought the reflection dot, turned it into a song. It hit Spotify's viral charts. Nora vanished from every social app. Casey deleted his entire online existence. But the internet never forgets. Not the screenshots. Not the hashtags. Not the reaction videos. She became a cautionary tale with glitter and feathers. A few days later, my parents tried calling. I didn't answer. Then came an email. "Whatever was between you and Nora, you took it too far. You disgrace this family." I replied with one sentence. I didn't disgrace this family. I documented it. Then I blocked them. Simple. Done. A week went by. Then a letter showed up. No return address. Just a crumpled thank you card, written in Nora's handwriting. The words looked like she dug them out of her ribs. "You were always better than me. That's why I hated you. You never wanted anything from anyone. You just wanted to be left alone. And we couldn't even give you that. You won. I hope it was worth it. I read it once. Then again. Lauren walked in and saw me holding it. Is it an apology? She asked. No, I said. It's a confession, but not the kind that heals anything. I didn't reply. I framed it. Hung it in my office, not out of pride, but as a reminder. Never again. It's been 2 months now. Lauren and I are flying to Portugal next week. Our first real vacation. No drama. No guilt trips. No fake smiles or sisters needing bailouts. I changed my number. Deleted the family group chat. Started therapy. And something odd started happening. People reached out. Distant cousins. Old classmates. Even former coworkers. I wish I had the guts to do what you did. You were right to walk away. That clown cake was iconic. It turned into more than a wedding stunt. It was a line in the sand. A declaration. No more pretending. No more enabling dysfunction. No more carrying people who spit on you the second your wallet closes. Lauren and I toast to it every Friday now. She lifts her glass and says, to Miss Perfect. And I raise mine right back. Long may she be off the throne.